I'm excited about this episode of the Elite Recruiter Podcast because we are going to talk about something that I am very passionate about. Probably passionate because I live it day in and day out. But I don't want to talk about it. I am actually bringing one of my good friends, James Dyson, to talk about the secret of finding those cleared professionals. And for those of you who are listening, if you don't know what a cleared professional is, it's somebody that has a security clearance that is supporting the U.S. federal government. And some of these security clearances can take up to 2 years to get. It's insane. But I'm excited to have James talk about all the secrets of finding those cleared professionals. So welcome back to the podcast, James.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I appreciate for having me on. Always a pleasure to join you to talk all things recruiting, and today cleared recruiting, which I know is everybody's favorite type of recruiting to do. People just they stand up and just can't wait to go after and find these cleared resources day after day. So this will be a fun one.
Awesome. And for those that are listening, we typically do a deep dive into James's background, but go back and listen to episode 23, where we do a good deep dive. So we're going to go ahead and jump forward a little bit. How long have you been in this government contracting space?
It's been 20 plus years now, which you can see by all the salt in my beard now. It's more salt than pepper. That's where it comes from now. So 20 plus years, man.
Is it from finding those cleared professionals?
It's from having to try to find those clear professionals and talking to them and talking to the companies and trying to get everybody to get on the same page. So that's where the gray comes in. So yeah.
Okay, so before we start talking about how to find them,
Yeah.
can you talk about the different levels of security clearances?
Absolutely. So you have typically most people understand secret. Everybody has heard of secret clearance, and then you have top secret clearance that goes up from there. But there are levels below and above them. So you have you'll say your MBIs, which is your kind of minimum background investigations. Some of them you have what they call kind of on project clearances. There's a lot of DHS. They may be calling CAT clearances. Different agencies has different type of clearances for them, and those are just kind of project specific clearances. Like you need those to get on that particular project or in that particular agency. And then once you go above top secret, you have your top secret and your SCI. Your SCI is your secret compartmental investigation or information, which is usually being able to see specific types of whether it's notes, projects, information, just specific type of documents that may be on that particular customer, client, or agency. And then you get into your polygraphs, which is your CI, your counterintelligence, which is kind of your, hey, making sure that you aren't going to do anything against the United States. And then you get the fun. You get your full scope poly, and that's everything under the sun. What have you done since you were a toddler, all the way up to where are you now? Then you have your kind of clearances that goes into the White House, your Yankee Whites, and then you have kind of your Black Ops security clearances, which we don't talk about. So we're not gonna talk about those, but
Somebody will come find us if we do.
Right, somebody will.
And for the listeners, like we're joking about them finding us. No, they will find you.
They
will.
will. They will from there. But that's
they
kind of
found me.
Excuse me, sir. We'd like to talk to you about. But that's kind of your range of clearances. But typically, most people are falling somewhere in between. Your just kind of minimum basic investigation up to your secret, top secret SCI, and going from there.
So why is it so hard to find these people?
It's a combination of things. There is already, so out of your area, there's already a subset of people that get the clearances. So if you think about it as a kind of a pool of water, a body of water, there's fish in there. And then out of this group of fish, there's a select group of fish that have chosen to get this type of clearance, or their job requires them to get that clearance. So you take out of 10 fish, now you're going to take 5 of them that has these clearances. Okay. And then out of the 5 that has the clearances, there may be 2 that are secret, and 3 that are top secret. And then there's different levels in there. And then gathering from that aspect. And the biggest challenge now with finding clear people is that, I read a statistic. It's that 92% of clear professionals are already working for a company. So you're not going out and finding them just in bodies of water out there. There is an 8% that may be kind of floating around or in between jobs or something like that, but they're already working. And especially in this day and age, you're not finding clear people to say, hey, I see you're looking for work. Come on over here. We're going from there. You're typically having to steal them from another company. You're having to get them to leave their job and take a job with your organization. So that's why your typical kind of recruiting approach, or people when they think about going and recruiting cleared individuals, you have to have a different mindset of going after them because they're already working. So now you go from recruiting them to kind of selling them. It's like you're looking at kind of, hey, this person may be a free agent in the next year. Maybe their contract is coming up. Maybe they're getting tired of this company. Something's going on from there. So how do I attract this person over to my organization? And I think that's the first step in understanding of how to recruit clear people, is how do I attract these people to my organization?
Well, and it was I know one of the things that I lean heavily on is mission based, because most of these people that support the federal government, they're very mission driven, or if they were money driven, they wouldn't be supporting GovCon.
Right.
At least not anymore. Like the full scope Poly used to be Willy Wonka's golden ticket for job security and money in the DC Metro, and then the tech companies moved in, and it's not the golden ticket anymore.
That's right.
It's like, how do you sell these cleared candidates on a position?
Yeah, so you're exactly right. They are mission driven. They're focused on how they are able to help the country achieve its goals and what they want to do for that particular agency or any agency from there. So, most companies are coming in. They're describing themselves as very mission driven or organizations. Candidates might be mission driven, but they're not company driven. It doesn't matter whether it's a large integrator or a small integrator, whatever. What are you bringing to the table? So a lot of times when my approach is always starting with the organization and saying, okay, what makes you different as from your competitors? How are you different? And I'll hear companies say, well, we have industry leading benefits. I'm like, okay, that sounds like to me, you have the regular benefits package that everybody else has. You have nothing new. So what are you really doing? Are you giving them more PTO? Are you looking to add more paternity or maternity type of leave into these types of things? What are you doing different other than just offering them a job at maybe a higher salary? Because their salaries are already high as is. So it's not that. So what are you doing differently? And my approach is always working with organizations in this is that you either the work that you're having to do for that customer and client has to be specific to what that candidate is doing, and why are you a better company than the company that they're already working at. So let's sell these benefits. Let's sell, if you're going to talk about your culture, because I always tell, this is on my D&I side, culture and DEI and the actual things you do in an organization are two different things. You can have bad culture, just and bring in good people, but it's what are you actually doing within your culture that impacts the outside? How are they able to feel it? And it can't just be we have happy hours every other Thursdays. We bring in lunch every other Wednesdays. No, nobody really cares about that anymore. It's a highly remote world. It's a hybrid world. So okay, a lot of government agencies are trying to bring back workers into the organization now. So how are you treating them? Are you making it a hybrid situation? Are you making it flexible for them to be able to come in? What's your selling pitch? That's the first thing I always ask companies is, what's your selling pitch? Because if the best thing you have to offer them is a job opportunity, you're not getting these people. So we always have to look internally first to say, how are we better at branding and marketing the organization?
Well, let me take this a step back. It's,
Yeah.
you're sitting there having to coach these organizations and like try to figure out why they're even going to like be able to find these people. Like
Yeah.
that's a little bit of a different sales pitch, or maybe it is a similar sales pitch. But many times recruiting companies are like, well, like, why are you working with us? Here in the GovCon space, why are you trying to figure out if you also want to work with them?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Like,
And
why
that's,
though?
you're asking like,
Yeah.
why do they want to work with them? Yeah. Uh, it's like, why do they want to stay? Because part of the clear people is, so they are mission driven. So, so it's being mission driven. These are the organizations, these are the contractors that are supporting the government and this particular agencies in these areas. So, on the side, when I talk to clear candidates, I'm giving them advice on how to vet the contractor. It's like, find out what they are actually doing in the organization. And I think a lot of times for the contractor, are they just adding bodies to the contract? You and I have talked about this before. Like, what value are they adding to the agency? Are they adding consulting value? Are they solving the actual agency's problems? Or is the agency telling them, hey, I need 10 bodies to do this work, and they need to have these skills and these clearances, and they're just filling seats? Either side is needed, and either side works well for the government, but it's beneficial for the candidate to know, because that's typically how the company will treat them. If they're treating you as kind of bodies that are filling a role, when that contract ends, depending on how good their pipeline is from a business development standpoint, they may not have a role for you. So what's going to happen? You now 5 years or 4 years, you're going to be a free agent. So people are looking into that, and now, especially with clearances, they understand this game, this kind of shell game that is being played with contracts now. So no longer can you sell as a company to say, hey, we're going to take care of you if this contract goes away. Okay, how are you going to do that, Mr. GovCon? Because I don't see any other work that you have in this particular area. So where am I going to go if this contract goes awry or goes south? Where am I going to go? How am I going to grow in your organization? What's your pitch? Because if not, this is just a landing spot for me, and then I'm going to go somewhere else.
Well, okay, let me take a step back. So a lot of people probably don't understand that
Yeah,
government contracts are rebid on average every 5 years.
that's right.
So when people think of like safety in the government world or government contracting, like people are literally like almost looking for a job every 4 years because of the contract bids.
Right.
How does that affect you and finding these cleared candidates, these contract changeovers constantly?
You're constantly having to be, you have to be honest with them. I've always talked about the book The Alliance, and one of the measures that they talk about is, when you treat people, you don't necessarily treat them as, when you treat employees, you don't treat them as family. You tell them the truth, and you understand it's like, this is kind of a contract arrangement. We're going to be coming in here. Our current agreement is for 1 full year and 4 option years. So we're gonna do a great job in each of these option years to keep you going, and then we're gonna rebid at the end of 5 years. So companies get themselves in trouble when they are selling kind of the family, long-term growth, long-term stability in an organization to a job that is contractual by nature, and the people that are coming in to fill that contractual. So when I have to talk to candidates, I'm telling them, this is this is what's happening, because also from my reputation, I want to make sure that the pipeline that I have with my cleared candidates stays full, because they know I'm going to be honest with them and I'm going to be upfront with them and saying, hey, this is a 3-year opportunity. We don't know right now what's the long-term effect, because this is a new contract for this client, so they may not have anything for you after this contract. So I want to make sure that you're comfortable and understand where you're going, that in 3 years you may be doing this dance again. So, and that's and that's okay, because that's kind of part of how government contracting goes. But working with candidates, you got to be honest with them, because the rub comes in for so many of these companies. That's like, oh yeah, like we'll be able to like put you onto a different contract, and then next thing you know, you have like you got a cybersecurity guy with a clearance and in a small company, and they're helping out with recruiting because you got no other place for them, or they're helping out with like HR because you have no other place for them. Then you start plugging them in places that they don't have any value, but because you want to try to keep them on as long as you make them do things that they aren't comfortable in doing, and it creates this kind of animosity. And then all of a sudden, what are they doing? They're already they're looking to leave.
Well, okay. So jumping into finding these cleared professionals,
Yeah.
where are some of the best places to find somebody with a secret clearance?
There is the Haven, which is clearance jobs. That is the biggest and largest kind of pool to be able to source in, and find those niche areas. I don't even know if some of the other tools still is clearjobs.net still out there, being able to do that. I think it's still there. But being able to target them, building your own internal pipeline of candidates. So when you're posting your jobs out there, as candidates are coming in, if you're getting cleared candidates coming into positions, even if they're not a fit, treat them as a lot of time as you see companies treat like branding and marketing. You nurture those candidates. So you start kind of a marketing drip pipeline, because you may need that candidate somewhere else. So that's how you kind of build I've always talked about like your invisible bench of that you're networking and finding them. I think I read somewhere either OPM or one of the other agencies have said, it's like the largest target area for clear people is LinkedIn. So are people putting, they don't put that they're cleared on LinkedIn. So how do you find that they are that they're cleared? You use different sources to be able to identify companies that they work at, to be able to identify the types of organizations that they say that they're doing work for. Probably if they're working for khaki and they're working in the Maryland area and they're doing some type of cloud or AI type of resource, and they're in, let's say, the PG County part of Maryland, you can probably safe to assume that they have a clearance. And part of that is just repetition and being who you're hiring, understanding the market that you're hiring in. They used to have a lot from, you could say like, job fairs, whether they're virtual or not now. It's not as plentiful as we'll say when we were in it back in the day. There's still some virtual ones, but how many people are really attending to get kind of the bang for the buck? Because again, remember, 92% of these people already have jobs. So if they're there, they may be there just kind of browsing around, but are you going to find the specific person that you needed? It's really being able to create a brand for the company that you can start to attract these people to you. And I'm drawing a blank on one of those tools. It's a newer kind of AI tool. You and I have talked about it. That enables you to kind of scrape, whether it's LinkedIn or Seek Out. There you go. I was like, I knew if I kept talking about it, it would come to me. Seek Out has a kind of a cleared resources aspect of the tool that allows it to kind of do what we said, like kind of find some of those people in those areas that you would necessarily look for. But those are kind of the the main areas that I'll say helps to find clear people and getting
What
them that.
about those super high level security clearances like the CI poly and the full scope poly? Where do you find those people at?
When you get down and you pray every night, you just hope that they that's the big place. It's if you have those type of positions, typically it starts that internal kind of pipeline that I say that you have. You know, clearance job is a great place to be able to go out and at least find people who have those clearances, and then you reaching out to those people to develop your own network and your own pipeline. These people are not out on the boards. They're not out there. So you have to do a level of digging and network. You have to become kind of a like old school journalist where they would find a connection and then they would work their connection. Like, who do you know? I'm looking for somebody who has these types of clearances. Do you know people who have more, CI polys, full scope polys in these areas? Who are people that you know that work on your project who may be interested? And you have to develop a trust so that they know that, if I send them somebody, you're not just going to pull them down for some, for some BS. It's a legitimate role, but it's really working those networks outside of, obviously using the tools and some of the new AI tools that they have, like Seek Out, to be able to Seek Out and Better Leap, to be able to find some of these candidates and pull them out. But it's really connecting with them and getting in touch with them and building your network, or building your network as an organization.
Well, and let me just take another question or take another step.
Yeah.
Most of these people, like, you can't get a hold of during the day, right?
Oh, no.
Why?
Because they're in skiffs. They're in skiffs. Their phone is in a magical box locked away. So you can send all of the email and the texts that you want and everything. They're not intentionally ignoring you. They can't get to their phone because typically their jobs require them to be on site in a skiff. So if they're on site in a skiff, they can't have any type of electronics that are going into it. So you're calling and talking to these people after work, at night, at best early in the morning while they're driving into their job from that standpoint. So your hours that you're contacting them are essentially any other time except normal work hours, because they can't take anything in there. So they can't receive any outside electronic transmissions of any sort. So yeah. So,
So
you can.
some of my favorite ways that I've gotten a hold of these full scope poly has been like postcards and showing up to restaurants.
Right.
What has been some interesting ways that you've been able to like capture that highly cleared talent?
Yeah, same thing. The diners nearby, I go to. Everybody eats lunch somewhere out of the skiff, so they're going to go. And the last thing they want to do is answer phone calls. And some of them will take them, but go there. Go to diners. Like, if you know where, and everybody knows where the agencies are in the area generally. You don't have to know it specifically. So if you know where the agencies are, go find about 5 to 6 different restaurants around there, quick stops where they can grab sandwiches. We're not going to the luxury dining places, because that's not where they're going. They're going to grab a sandwich and they're coming back, and they just may be in line. But going there, talking to some of the business owners, hey, can I leave some of my business cards here? Can I leave information here that if people come by, like, they can just grab a business card and just go from there, or sit down and, kind of talk to people. Do you, and that's going to be tough for some people to walk up to somebody who is, minding their own business and go like, hey, anybody, I'm a recruiter. I'm here looking for X, Y, and Z. If you happen to know, I'm gonna leave my cards on these tables, and if anybody's interested, give me a call or come over and talk to me. And it's like, you want to do it and make sure that it's okay with the business, because the last thing you want to do is have like the business is like no soliciting in there, and then you get kicked out. Then they're like, oh yeah, I remember you. You're that guy that got kicked out of Quick Pita over there.
There's one of the agencies in Northern Virginia. They like a few years ago, right before COVID, like a Chick-fil-A popped up, and I'm like, this is a gold mine.
Absolutely.
I'm like, it literally across the street from the gate.
Oh my God. Yes. Yes. Just sit there. Just walk around. Just ask one of the drive-through people. Be like, can I just hang here with you?
I actually thought about that. I'm like, should I go work the drive-through for like? I'm looking for this like TSSCI, full scope poly, like certain like AI person. I'm like, I was a data scientist. And I'm like, maybe I could just hang out in the drive-through at Chick-fil-A. I could probably find them quicker.
Just hang out there. I'm looking for this person. If you know, tell them to give me a call.
Well,
Exactly.
before we jump over to the second part of the podcast, is there anything else that you would love to share about finding highly cleared professionals?
I think it's always just, I can't stress enough just being honest with candidates, because I feel in this day and age, um, that becomes your biggest tool in being able to connect and bring candidates into your organization or to your clients, or to have them following you and being able to build that network up. Is if they feel that they can trust you, they'll not only come with you, they will open up their referral banks of who they know, and you're able to develop and get more candidates that way than kind of any of these kind of crazy ways that we may talk about having to go out and find them. But it's developing your own personal network is the biggest thing you can do in the cleared environment.
Niching down to cleared.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Well, jumping over to the quickfire questions.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to a recruiter that's just getting started in the industry in 2024?
It's I think, when we were coming along, it was kind of like, learn your craft, learn how to call people, learn how to talk to people. I think now it's still learning people, learn the tools, learn how to be efficient with your time, you know, learn how to, and I also think with recruiters, they have to find your skill area quickly. Some recruiters are really good sourcers, some are really good kind of client facing, and then some can kind of do a little bit of both. Find your area that you're really good at kind of as fast as you can, and just push it and exploit it. Like if you're a great sourcer, if you love sourcing and finding that, like get with those organizations and just dive in to learn more about that. If you want to be more client facing, you're working with, whether it's in agencies and you're doing account executives, just learn from there. But I think the biggest thing is just as much, listen as much as you can and just absorb uh, from there. It's recruiting is one of those crazy professions. I've still yet to run into somebody that has said like, "Oh, this is what I wanted to do. Like I wanted to come out and be a recruiter." I talked to some people that's like, I wanted to kind of do business as an agency or something like that. I'm like, oh, okay, that's not somebody who wanted to go work at an organization just as a recruiter. So somebody lands in it somehow. So
Well, same question, but for somebody that's been around the block 5, 10, 15 years,
yeah,
what advice would you give to them to keep on seeing success?
evolve. We'll learn, the biggest thing now is, you have a lot of AI tools. Learn the tools, learn what they can do, learn how they can help you, learn how they can make you more efficient in what you're doing, because that's the key. What we always hear the stories of how AI is going to replace the recruiter. And that's, that's always the thing. And even before AI became big, it was always, how are these tools able to replace recruiters? And no matter what, it will replace what a lot of recruiters do to a certain aspect, but you can't replace the entire recruiter. You can't replace the entirety of that human connection, of being able to have conversations about the role, about the company, the selling aspect of it. At no point, no bot is going to be, well, I take that back. Maybe at some point somebody's going to come up with a bot that's going to be able to sell you on stuff like that. When you can buy a Tesla from a bot, then okay, we'll do that. But until that time, just learn how the tools can make you more efficient, because the faster you can do the admin stuff, the more you can focus on the human connection and the human capital part, and to make you a more effective recruiter.
Has there been a book that's had a huge impact on your own personal career?
I think I mentioned before, probably The Alliance, and that really kind of opened my eyes to understanding of how, the struggle between why people kind of struggle with organizations, and organizations struggle with people being able to connect to it. And it was just really the honest, what long time ago people took jobs because it had a longevity, and if I stayed at this company, the company was going to take care of me and my family. They had things like pensions. They had things that, right? People are like, what is that now? But they had those things in play because that was the value that the company gave to the employee. And the employee saw the value in staying with the company for a long time, because the longer I stayed with you, the more invested I became in the company, and that they would give me money back at the end of it. Companies aren't doing that now because it's a hyper capitalistic system. And so, okay, if companies are going to be that, understanding that that's how people have to be. People have to understand their own brand. So the Alliance is really about kind of understanding how you can forge that gap between the employee and the employer to figure out the common alliance that they have together. And that becomes mutually beneficial for both sides. And just being able to see that holistically would help so many companies and help people understand the value that they bring, and also for the companies as well.
Awesome. What do you think has been a major factor of your own personal success?
My networks, my people, my connections. I wouldn't be here or doing a lot of these things if it's not for, the great people like yourself that I know, and that have helped me when there have been times that I'm sitting here looking at it and it's like, really not gonna find this person today, or it's like you get tired. It's anything, you kind of get tired of it. So having somebody in the industry that's able to, you can kind of talk to and confide in, finding a mentor that you can work with and bounce ideas off. I know you can attest that many times I call you and it's like, I got this harebrained idea, whether or not it may work or not, but just getting it off and making and understanding that somebody is kind of listening to you just helps maintain your sanity, and also kind of it keeps your drive going, because it doesn't allow you to feel that if when you have failures, that it's all on you to try to stand up. So my network, that's the big thing, friends and family that keep you going.
If you got the chance to sit down with yourself and have a conversation with yourself at the very beginning of your recruiting career, I know I've asked you this question before, but I want to ask it again because you're at a different place in life.
Yeah.
What advice would you give yourself?
I would tell myself that it's okay to not be successful quickly. Like, it's okay to kind of grind it out at some places. Because I think there were times in the beginning where it was, if it was going to be a quicker move up that I thought, I jumped to it. And where I maybe could have stayed in some places, and it would have been provided a little bit longer term success, or there would have been a different path. I would allow myself grace to be able to say, like, it's okay to kind of stay here and learn and go through some of the things. I had a conversation, somebody was like, you have a lot of experience, and I'm like, that's a good and a bad thing, because it's it's good because I have a lot of experience, so I've seen a lot of things, got a lot of gray, a lot of salt and pepper here. But a lot of times, a lot of companies see that as a handicap. It's like, oh, he job hops, he hops, he goes from here, he goes from place to that. He's not, quote unquote, he's not loyal to the company. It's like, everybody is looking to better themselves overall, and people from a human brand. But I think I would just tell myself to give myself a little bit of grace, and there've probably been a couple of places I've been like, stick around, don't roll, don't go yet, just stick around, just kind of hang there. I'd have probably just been a longer mentor to myself. That's probably what I needed. Just like I needed a longer term mentor to kind of over various jobs. So,
well, for the listeners, if they want to follow you, how do they do that?
Yeah, you can. Obviously, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm happy. James Dyson Jr. on LinkedIn. You can find me there. You can find me on Instagram. I am James Dyson Jr. You can go to my company website, which is www.thinkevolutionary.com. And those are the big ways to find me. And then if you type in James Dyson for Google, you're going to get the guy for the vacuum cleaner. He and I fight for space. in a way, he's winning right now because everybody's paying $500 for that vacuum cleaner, or at least they were. I don't know if people are doing it anymore.
Well, before I let you go, is there anything else that you want to share with the listeners?
We will we'll both be at Recruit DC, and so that'll be good doing presentations there. So I think that'll be a really fun time for us to meet a lot of people and connect. So obviously, if they see it in time, come out. But if not, you can always watch. I know they'll rebroadcast a lot of the stuff, or definitely follow Recruit DC and follow Benjamin Mena and the Elite Recruiter, doing great things, doing amazing things. So just keep supporting and keep following him. So.
Awesome. Well, James, I just wanted to say thank you so much for coming back on, returning guest, to talk about finding those clear professionals. Because there are so many companies looking for these people. You get the recruiters constantly that are like, hey, guess what? I just got a cleared rec. And you're like, cool.
Good luck.
But thank you for sharing some of the secrets, sharing for some of the things to help them help recruiters understand the wonderful world of cleared recruiting that both of us are in. So, James, thank you for coming back on. And for the listeners, keep crushing it, guys.
Thank you, buddy.